did he say to you? I guess some people are more concerned about the election than you are.
No, listen, my conversations with the president are my conversations with the president. I engaged in the idea of making sure we could stop what was going on inside the Capitol at that moment in time, and the president said he would help.
All right, so January 6th was almost 4 months ago. Chris Wallace still obsessed with the private conversations between Kevin McCarthy and President Trump. Doesn't seem to want to let impeachment go either, Rogan.
Well, after the debate performance where it was basically he and Joe Biden against President Trump, you know, people saw who he really was. He's an anti-Trumper. He's a establishment media DC type. People are tired of this. They're looking for truth tellers like Lou Dobbs. They're looking for truth tellers like you and others on Newsmax and OAN and others. So it's very clear to see, you know, who is on the side of the American people and who is trying to protect the very corrupt DC and kind of coastal elite establishment. Wallace is one of their favorites.
Yeah, the DC media industrial complex, if you will. And, you know, to your point, you know, here's a clip of Wallace basically coming to Joe Biden's aid during that presidential debate, which was on Fox Business. President Trump at that point was reminding everyone that Joe Biden and a lot of Democrats were calling him racist for trying to shut down travel and restrict movement after we first learned about the coronavirus. Here he is.
You didn't want me to ban.
All right, gentlemen,
which was heavily.
Mr. President,
you would have been
Mr.
much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President,
you're talking about 2 million people.
You're not President, as a moderator. We are going to talk about COVID in the next segment.
As the moderator, he felt necessary to remind everyone, more like Joe Biden's tag team partner in that situation.
As the opinion censor, as I like to call it, you know, we see these fact checks all over social media, and they behave largely in the same way that Wallace does. They aren't fact checks, they're opinion checkers. I can't tell you how many times on social media I just get Joe Biden's defense to a post. You know, it's really tough to have an opinion that goes against the establishment. And again, you know, Wallace is doing it on the debate stage. Big tech is doing it on social media. And that's why a lot of, you know, regular Americans are moving away from these traditional news outlets and moving in droves towards actual journalism outlets like Newsmax, you know, and others.
Well, you know, you mentioned Lou Dobbs. I wonder where he will resurface. I mean, you know, a lot of people miss Lou Dobbs. He was the highest rated guy on Fox Business, and they shut him down anyway. He did recently resurface briefly. He joined Eric Metaxas for his podcast. And Eric asked Lou about the media, and here's what he had to say about the modern media.
The national media, it's left wing, but nonetheless, it is the national media. Is not in any way bringing critical judgment or great energy to their responsibilities to be either a watchdog or to challenge power.
You know, he challenged power, and look what happened to Lou Dobbs. I mean, you know, maybe the sacrificial lamb. As soon as some folks wanted some answers to come after Fox, they set Lou Dobbs aside. He was sued too.
He challenged power, and power didn't like it and challenged him right back. And unfortunately, power is very powerful right now. But I will say we are seeing what I call a digital balkanization on the internet and in the media. There are many shops, Daily Wire's one of them, Blaze TV, that are creating these independent media outlets. You know, 10 years ago, we didn't have conservative influencers on social media. We didn't have these paywall conservative sites that have gone mainstream, but there is a massive market opportunity for conservative media outlets to tap into this balkanization, this migration of people looking for truth and objectivity. You know, the media's job, like you said, is to speak truth against power, not speak lies against the powerless. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of the big boys have drifted these days.
All right, Rogan, we got 15 seconds real quick. Just give us a heads up on what you got going on tomorrow night for the folks in Tampa, if they can come down and meet you and some of your friends.
Yeah, we're going to be at the Pinellas School Board meeting. I believe there's one at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. And we're trying to get mandatory masks off these kids. We know that COVID does not really affect them. And to force a kid to wear masks for 6 hours a day, in my opinion, is a form of abuse. Let's get the masks off these kids. Let's get them back to learning and hanging out with their friends and growing up and having a normal life. All
right, the Pinellas County, Florida School Board meeting should be something to see.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.